everyone, and welcome to another segment of Our Best for Boomers. My name is Susan Williams, and I'm the founder of Booming Encore, and I'm delighted to welcome back Mike Drak. Mike is the author of Victory Lap Retirement and Retirement Heaven or Hell, which will you choose? Great to see you again, Mike.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Susan.
So, Mike, today we thought we would talk about health technology that we're using to help us stay healthy. So, why don't you kick it off?
Well, this is a subject that kind of rubs me the wrong way because I'm a low-tech guy in a high-tech world, but you can't fight it. You got to go with it. You can't get gapped and left behind. I'm seeing new technology all the time. Like I just talked to my doctor over Zoom, and we were talking about blood pressure and the importance of monitoring it. And that's one thing I want to talk about is the importance of monitoring your blood pressure, because it's so important to prevent a possible stroke or a heart attack and whatnot. When I used to work in my corporate job and I was stressed out, I would walk across the street and go to Shoppers, a pharmacy store, and they would have one of those blood pressure machines there. And I would take my blood pressure, and 9 times out of 10, it was redlining because I was so stressed out. And so eventually it forced me to go to the doctor. And long story short, I had to get a blood pressure machine, which I have on the desk beside me. And I monitor that on a regular basis. It's so important. It was high, especially during the pandemic. And I had to find ways to de-stress and, change lifestyle habits to reduce it. And one thing I found out at one point, it was giving me false readings. I guess I used it too much. And it always showed a high reading. I was really scared about it. So I went out and bought another one. And sure enough, that one showed it was 20 points lower. But, it's an important lesson there. You got to monitor these things. And it's easy to with all these portable machines they have. But it's such a critical thing to do if you want to protect your health. So that's a good thing about technology.
It is. And actually, we just recently bought one too, because we have a family history of heart issues. So one, they're actually pretty inexpensive these days, which is great. And two, the one that we actually got also has Bluetooth, which means that the recordings are actually tracked on my phone as well, which is really cool. So over history, you can make sure that it's something that you can actually take into your doctor. And just going back to your point about making sure that it's correct, one of the recommendations that we read was that take your blood pressure monitor in with you to your next doctor's appointments once a year, and both do it at the same time, and make sure that they're somewhat similar. So what they read and what you read on your machine is somewhat calibrated. So that's one way to also make sure that it stays consistently functioning for you.
Yeah, good point. But that Bluetooth thing, that kind of threw me off. I got stressed again just hearing that.
Oh, but it's so easy. I swear to God, the things that it's a joy. I get a kick out of taking my blood pressure. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so the one thing that I've also got running for me is my Apple Watch. I'll be honest, like there it is. I went into this with a little reluctance. My kids actually got it for me for Mother's Day, and they wanted me to, make sure I was monitoring my health. As we start to get older, they start to worry. And so I reluctantly put it on my wrist. Well, I swear by this thing. I'm now actually tracking my workouts. I'm tracking my steps. I'm tracking my respiratory, my oxygen levels. I'm tracking my heart rate. I mean, it's like having a heart, like a monitor always on me. And I'm using it, and I can't imagine my life now without it. And I think it really focuses on the intention, like you pointed out, we really should be focusing on the prevention of these things. So, it gives you an early indicator if there's something wrong. So for instance, the heart rate monitor helps me make sure that I'm getting into the target heart rate zones for my workouts, so I'm actually getting the cardio benefits. So there's so many things on this. And the other feature that the new watches have, which I think is great, especially for older people, is that it will also, it can tell if you have a fall. So if you fall down, and it then sends you an alert saying, are you okay? And if you say no, then it'll actually reach out to your emergency contacts.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I know, it's cool. I haven't actually used it. I can't actually say it works or it doesn't, but this is what I've read about it.
And I should have used that when I fell out of the tree.
There you go.
Help, I fall.
Oh, I fallen and I can't get up. Yeah, I know, it's taking it to a whole other level, but so you're wearing these sensors on your body. So I think it's really cool. And the fact that technology is now in our own hands to help us, help our physicians and keep track of things, I think is really neat. Now you've got some other things going on in the
Wait,
technology
I
world.
gotta say something though. Talking about the watch, the Apple Watch. My father-in-law uses one. He's low tech, but he swears by it. He loves it. And he's tracking he even tracks the food he eats and things
Yeah.
like that. And that's what frustrates me because I keep saying, well, if he can do it, why can't I do it? I bought a Garmin watch because my triathlon coach told me to use it for training and tracking. And I got so frustrated, I gave it away to my son. but I just need to spend time.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. But like I said, once you kind of get on that, it's I can't imagine not having it. So I actually make sure it's charged up and I make sure it's ready for the day and all that sort of thing. Because I can't.
No, I agree.
I wanna get that recognition that I'm actually doing those steps. So if I don't wear it, I don't get it. So it's
That's right. Yeah, I use my phone for that, but it works the same way,
yeah,
right?
same thing. It's just on your wrist this time.
It's very good information, and we have this target of hitting our 10,000 every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great, and it's a great motivator too. So do you want me to go for my third one?
Yeah, please.
This one's starting to drive me a little crazy because as you know, I'm training for Ironman Cozumel in 2022. So I got the triathlon coach and she told me the other day, I need to buy these pedals, special pedals for my bike. Because the pedals measure power output, which is a better indicator of fitness than heart rate. So all of a sudden I ordered these pedals and she's going to come over and help me with them because they link into a computer that will be on the bike. So it will give me all this information like crazy. And then that information goes to my smart TV and it goes into some program called Swift. So what you're doing is it's like Peloton. You're riding with all these other people around the world in some kind of race or something. And you're getting these readouts on power and oxygen and all this.
Wow.
But she's coming over to hook it up because I wouldn't have a clue. But the information and the feedback and improving the training and everything is unbelievable. It's just, you get so much information. So I'm kind of excited about it, but frustrated. But because I have her helping me, it's going to be good.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, like you said, anything that can help elevate your performance, and especially since you're training, I mean, it'll give you indicators of, how well you're doing and what else you got to work on. So that's really cool.
But my problem is, you see, and I think a lot of people face this, the low-tech ones, is we're scared of it. We're frustrated by it because we don't know how to turn it on. But once it's going and we get the info, we're so happy. It's crazy. So it's getting there, might be a little frustrating, but it's important to get there. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is. Well, the other thing that I had used and just recently is I had to take some medication. And it was a pretty strict, like I had to take it at certain times before meals. And it was a fairly complex regime I was on. It was a short period of time. And so what I did is I actually downloaded an app that would take, like, you basically load in the medication that you're taking, the times that you actually have to take it, and it would send me reminders.
On your watch?
On my watch or my phone. Wow. I know I'm going really high tech, but I was so impressed with this application. It was free, which is great. I'll actually even give the name. It was MediSafe. And it gave me information about the drugs I was taking and why I was taking them. And then it was really kind of fun because every time my medication came due, you'd actually hear a pill bottle shake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, It was like you hear the pill bottle shake. It would drove me crazy sometimes because it's like, yeah. But I mean, and then it would get louder as it, or not.
Until you take it.
Until you take it. And then you have to actually say, yes, I took it. And then it would actually give you a report each week of, your medication.
No, that's
and whether you stayed what you were supposed to do, or if you missed a dose or whatever. So it was a really interesting application, I thought, and one, especially something like people over 65, the average person over 65 takes 3 medications or more, something along those lines. So, I mean, the fact is, as we age, chances are we're going to be put on medications, and chances are adherence is so critical in order to avoid, further development of diseases or issues. So, these apps are really, they're out there and they're valuable and they're pretty easy to use, and it does, remind you, it keeps you honest, at least, if you're going to skip it, you'll know you skipped it and it'll let you know you skipped it. So I thought that was pretty neat.
No, but it is, because sometimes I have to take blood pressure medicine. And sometimes, if I get up early or I'm busy doing something else, I'll forget if I took it or not that day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this thing's just wonderful because, yeah, it keeps you aware and honest and on track. So no, I might have to get that from you.
Oh, it like I said, it worked. It definitely kept me honest and kept me on the regime. So, anyways, well, this is definitely an area that's growing. Back in 2019, the digital health market was estimated at 84 billion, and by 2026, it's estimated to grow to 220 billion. So it's just booming. And I mean, the fact that you and I are actually actively engaged in this stuff says it's not just for the youngsters, it's also for older people. And especially, if we can help monitor our own health and focus on the prevention of situations before we actually get into full-blown issues, I think is a real benefit of this whole.
Yeah. And we can't, ignore it. We can't push back on it. We got to accept it and be willing to learn it, because look at the upside, all the benefits attached to it. So I have to do a better job, and I'm going to.
Okay. Well, listen, Mike, always great chatting with you.
All right. You have a good weekend. Okay.
Okay, will do. And to everybody out there, hope you found this information interesting and helps you live your best booming Encore. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
La